Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen, and soldiers. I have come here today to speak to you about my career as a female soldier in Army aviation. It was a long journey that began when I wasn't even old enough to call myself an adult. My father had to sign paperwork to allow me to join the Army when I was only 17 years old. I had a rough life growing up and always found myself in trouble. Not knowing which path would be the best, I desperately wanted to make my parents proud and prove to them that I could become successful one day. I had all of the odds stacked against me, with my whole family practically taking bets on whether I would be in prison or dead by the time I was 23. It was time to prove them wrong. I decided that the best way for me to accomplish that was to join the Army. Excuse me. I chose a challenging career in Army aviation that would prove not only to them, but to myself that no matter how difficult it was, I was going to be successful. This was the mindset that I brought with me to the United States Army. The first path in this difficult journey began in basic combat training back in September 1999. I quickly realized that this might have been a bad choice as soon as the drill sergeants began yelling in my face, day in and day out. Graduation day couldn't come soon enough. The only thing that kept me going was the thought of having my family watch me walk across the stage as an American soldier. After graduation, I arrived in Fort Rucker, Alabama for my advanced individual training to become an aviation operations specialist. I, like every other soldier on Fort Rucker at that time, tried to push the envelope and see what I could get away with. Having come back here as an AIT platoon sergeant, I can tell you for a fact that nothing has changed. It wasn't until I was pulled aside by one of my drill sergeants who taught me that living by the Army values is the best way to go, and that is how I should start acting. He also told me that doing so would allow me to move forward in my career, and that I would never have to worry about getting set back. During my time in BCT and AIT, I learned that I loved to compete, and was able to use that as a motivational tool in my career. I thought of myself as the mighty Shira, and that no other female could ever beat me. After finishing my training, I finally made it to permanent party status, assigned to 2101 Apache Battalion in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I was only in that unit for 2.5 weeks before my first field training exercise. I remember being so excited and yet so scared at the same time, not knowing what to expect being my first real Army unit and all. I thought to myself, "Self, this is it. This is time to show these guys what you're made of." I went out there with the Battalion S3 shop and followed my boss around like a booger that he couldn't shake off of his finger. I was trying so hard to keep up with all the new gadgets that I would be working on from here on out. I loved talking to the aircraft, following their missions, as they went on all night and playing like we were really at war. The rush that I felt was overpowering, and I knew that at that moment, this was my calling. This is what I was meant to become, a permanent soldier protecting my loved ones and my country. While serving with that unit, I had the opportunity to re-enlist for the first time on the wing of an Apache helicopter. I couldn't believe how lucky I was. After being with the unit and going to numerous field training exercises, I began to realize something. I didn't always fit in with everyone that was there. I started to notice male soldiers and NCOs telling me to start cleaning things rather than help them move tents or carry heavy equipment. I also noticed a lot of the males standing around talking about us females and how we should get the mops and the brooms and know our place. After hearing these comments, I became determined not to allow them to continue. Back then, there wasn't a whole lot of emphasis on women's rights under the Equal Opportunity Program, and complaints didn't hold as much weight as they do today. Because of the state of the EO program and being only a PFC at the time, I was hesitant to bring these issues to my boss, but I did. To my surprise, he was very understanding and asked me why it bothered me so much. I told him that we as females are just as capable of helping with the heavy loads as the males are, and that we should also have a part in every aspect of the operation, not just the cleaning portion. I was worried that making a complaint would change the way my boss treated me, and I was right. However, I was one of the lucky ones. My boss not only understood my point of view, but realized how difficult it was for me to come forward. From that point forward, he seemed to push me harder and teach me more and took me under his wing. Once he saw that I was motivated, he focused more on molding me into the leader that he knew I could be. Now where I stand today, I have the opportunity to tell the females that come into the Army that it will never be easy. They will always have to work a little harder and a little smarter. Some of them will face uncertainty and ridicule, while others have to contend not only with the challenge of their jobs, but with the perception that they are not up to the task based solely on their gender. I cannot stress enough to the young female generation the importance of hard work and professionalism, and that at times you are going to feel lonely and even downright discouraged. But remember, we are all going to have to stick it out and find the ones along the way who support us. It does not have to be a specific race or gender. It doesn't even matter what background they may come from, as long as you know that they will encourage you and inspire you to build exciting and amazing careers. In closing, I would like to leave you with one quote that I found very inspirational, written by Dr. Donna Lorraine. To be a success, a woman has to be confident, self-assured, persistent, and have a great sense of humor. At times, you have to employ a certain desperate deviousness to get the job done. Thank you all.